Hi guys, this is Lachette with Scarlet Moon Creations, and I'm back with a new video. This is my 2018 annual review and 2019 annual setup or plan with me video, if you will. This will probably be a bit longer than my normal plan with me videos because I'm planning out an entire year, but I will hyperlapse, meaning speed up as many parts as I can. But I did a monthly review video, which I'll link up above and in the description down below, so you can see that. And as promised from last year, I will share my annual review process with you now. For the most part, this video will be an overhead shot so you can see what I'm doing and what I'm talking about, but really quick, what's going to be included is a very quick flip through of my 2018 bullet journal inserts, with particular emphasis on November since you guys did not get that yet. And then I'll show you how I use Lisa Jacobs' Your Best Year workbook and set up my annual objectives or annual goals, and very quickly my business growth strategy and profit strategy for 2019, how I use the getting things done list making method in my bullet journal, or how I set those up every year, and I'll show you the new inserts that I have, new collections, spreads that I have created for 2019, and some explanation of some of the things I'll be doing magically, spiritually, and personally. And lastly, I will go into my depth year explanation. I really didn't want to make, well, it would have been nice to make an entire video just for that, but I don't want to overload you guys with a bunch of videos, or myself. So that'll be in here too since it's relatively quick. Thank you so much for watching, and let's get into it. Okay, hi guys. Like I said, we're going to start this annual review by looking back at my old inserts. These are all the inserts that I used in 2018 when I decided to go mostly, or actually in fall of 2017, I wanted to try a more traditional type of faux dory insert only system. These inserts were all great. The first few are ones that I bought, and then the rest are ones that I made because I couldn't buy new ones. Insert closing the end of 2018. Finally. So what we have, taking that away, is 3 new inserts, which I already started using in the month of December. 2 of these inserts I made myself. 1 I purchased. I decided I wanted to go back to having a solid book instead of just so many inserts. I wanted more space like the look term, but I wanted a red look term, and they didn't have it in the store, and I didn't want to pay the extra money for shipping, so I bought this Fabriano, and the paper is great, like the paper quality. Unfortunately, let me see if I can show you guys this here, the light fading. This is how it's in. And the pages, this particular notebook is meant for the pages to be ripped out. So that's what they do. They come out super easily, if you can see that. So I was going to get another notebook. I actually did buy this notebook from Family Dollar, and it's really nice, but the paper quality is not as great, and it's lined, and I was thinking, oh, I'll just paste in the first couple of pages, but I would have to paste in every page because the difference in spacing between the lines and the dot grid, if you can see that, is humongous. Like, the line spaces is much bigger than the dot spaces, but not quite twice the size. So I came up with the idea of washi tape. It's somewhat working. Like, I haven't lost any pages, but it's not perfect. As you can see here, like, I had washi tape here, but it's like being sucked in or something. I don't know. I think I did this recently. I somehow messed this up recently, and I don't know how. So yeah, I'll fix that later. But one notebook, 249 pages. It's made in, 90 pages. It's made in Italy, A5, dot grid, 80 GSM, and it works wonderfully. And it was only like $6, not on sale, just $6, period. So that was nice. I can get another one when I'm ready. So, first things first, my 2018 review, and what I like to use is Lisa Jacobs' Your Best Year workbook. Now, she has 2 versions. This one that you see here is the business edition. There's also a life edition, which looks basically the same, except, the brick wall it's white brick instead of regular brick. So, for my purposes, the business edition works best with a little bit of here and there from the life edition. She is no longer making this. She used to do a new updated workbook every year. There is a 2019 version in her Etsy shop now. And I believe it's 40% off. So you can find a link to it in the description down below. But in my opinion, this is the best system for my purposes in organizing my year, planning my year. And first thing that she has us do is answer questions about the previous year. So what she calls the State of the Union, basically. She says she likes to kick off her training programs by accurately describing the current conditions of the industry is facing, then follow up with a plan on how to tackle the most pressing issues. And she does do this, a new year for a new you, 7 days of review on her blog every year. Again, I don't know if she is doing this series for 2019, but you can find the last like 5 years worth on her blog. Again, linked in the description down below. So I have the questions here. What I do is I open up my journal to whatever day I'm at. And don't worry if you guys are like, oh, I can't see anything. For December, yeah, there will be a January plan with me with a December flip through, so you'll get those details. But yeah, like I said, first thing I do is answer the questions about the previous year, in this case 2018. So let's go do that, and then I'll flip through and show you what there is to see. Okay, so these are my, 2018 questions review from the Your Best Year workbook by Lisa Jacobs at Market Your Creativity, with some, daily spreads thrown in. And this is all in my new bullet journal. Next, I'm going to show you this is like the workup. This is, picking my brain, writing down my thoughts, figuring out, how last year went, what I liked, what I didn't like, how I'd like to change it. And so, like, literally the sections are called what worked, what's not working, time management, survey the land, meaning like figuring out, like a land surveyor would, what you want to change. Now, I could have put that in my collections, but I didn't because it's a lot, and it's not what I need to carry over with me throughout the entire year or for a long time. It's just what I need to do to review at the moment, at the end of the year, or at the beginning of the new year, and then I can create what I do need to carry with me for the rest of 2019. first I'll show you my annual strategy, annual log pages. So this is based off of the Your Best Year workbook again. The annual log is based off of the bullet journal method system. This will include everything, mostly personal stuff. This, and only for 6 months. This is for business. To have a snapshot of what I want to do, like the big things and stuff that will impact that in 2019. So I set up this spread already. I just need to fill it in really quick and then we can move on. Okay, so here's my 2019 annual strategy filled out. It's not completely done yet, but like I said, this is for business. I have 2 businesses, one of which is Scarlet Moon Creations. There's a couple of things I still need to decide on as far as my business goals specifically this year. And then the details of that you guys don't need to see, so I'll put that in later. But yeah, I leave myself room to add some strategies in here, like more ads, updates, and things like that. But the black is like personal stuff that I know will take time or that I need to remember or that will have some other effect on my businesses. Like, for example, the summer solstice or Letha or midsummer, as some call it. That's a holiday for me as a witch. And since I do sell summer solstice products, that holiday affects my business, so I'll probably have some strategy promoting those products on here, if that makes sense. And the arrow is for things that take more than 1 month, but this is like a snapshot of 2019 business strategies. Now my annual log here, it's color coded because this is a system of colors I've been using for a while, and sorry, something flew in front of the sun there. But I usually use yellow for birthdays. I've been using that even on my Google Calendar, but you guys can't see that yellow very well on camera, so I use this like neon orange. But I know what it is. And I'm taking part in some read-alongs this year, so I put those in like blue. Blue and books kind of go together for me. The green showing the new and full moons, and then the like lilac-y color is holidays. Whoops, sorry about that. So that is those things. Now let's look at a whole at my collections pages. This first page is my index, which I'll fill out in a minute with my pages. This will be my word of the year collage page, which unfortunately I have not printed out yet. I do a word of the year thing, but this year it was a little bit different. I didn't do this on purpose, but it kept shouting at me. Dragon is my word of the year, and I got it from this card, which is from the Color Mage Oracle that I have. And so this color is why you will see a lot of green in the upcoming pages. And I did like this whole mind mapping thing, and I'll show you really quick, but I was just trying to figure out why dragon? Why do I have dragon, this card to keep popping out at me? And then, yeah, so I did this whole thing on this paper here, and on this pad of paper, I mean, and yeah, so I decided I wanted to make a collage. I don't have things to collage with, so I did it in Canva, and I'll just like show it here. So I just need to get that printed. I don't have ink, but and I just haven't made it to a Staples to get that printed for relatively cheap. But yeah, my word of the year is dragon. This card was just like throwing itself at me for like the past 2 months. Like, I'm like, what? What? Meanwhile, on my other brands, like, what's my word of the year gonna be this year? I don't know. I don't know. But this card says power and legacy, and like I showed you, I did a bunch of mind mapping for what I associate with dragon and the word dragon. Now we have pages that I made or started setting up during Jessica Starr the Story Witch's annual live setup. And this page here is my year at a glance. I just need like a calendar thing for the whole year that's very simple, so I can associate different days with what week and month and whatnot, and just turn to it real quick when I'm doing my monthly setups. So that's what this is. I updated it from previous years in that I added these marks for new moon, full moon, holidays, and birthdays. So you can see my June, my October, November are packed with things. And this is like keeping the birthdays and the holidays to the very essentials. Next, I always wanted like this moon phases calendar thing, but I'm kind of really lazy about drawing it. And for those of you in the bullet journaling witches group on Facebook, I know you guys have all drawn similar things, and this is all based off of where I printed this, and this Ezzy Spencer's Lunar Abundance calendar for 2019, and I'm in New York City, so I did the phases for the Northern Hemisphere. I printed this out at the library and then just colored in the moons, and I did, Ezzy has this thing where she highlights the eclipses and supermoons, so that's what those are that look like little suns. So yeah, I just printed that out, pasted it in here, and then colored in the moons. Next. Okay. Before I get to this, one of last year, around June-ish, I think, I came across this post on Tumblr, followed it to the website wordmagicart.com. And basically it was this woman who is a pagan of some kind. I don't remember if she calls herself a witch or not. And unfortunately, these pages that she did on her website are now all gone. But she did this thing called letters to herself, love letters to herself, and she did them every new moon, or she opened a new one every new moon. And within these letters, she had pulled a card for every lunar month, and did some other type of divination. I think she made photocopies of book pages and did found poems or something like that. I was absolutely amazed by this idea. One, love letters to yourself, like writing a letter to yourself is so awesome. It's a great, I think, idea for self-care. And I do have my cards of the month for my elemental year ahead reading, but picking cards for my love letter to myself, it just struck me. And I remembered this despite the fact that when I finally went back in November to look at her website and found all the pages gone because she documented what she did. She took down all the pages, unfortunately, but I still wanted to do this. So I sat down, and after I did my whole 52 card year ahead spread thing, I picked out a card from my a fairy of the month from my a Heart of Fairies Oracle, and a song of the month. And that the song idea is kind of based off of what is Tara. Oh yeah, from Kitten Waits and Tarot. I came across several months ago videos she did on YouTube about song divination and music always being a strong part of my life. Even before I became a witch or started practicing witchcraft, I wanted to include that as well. And so this is my spread I kind of made. I think I was had this impression of like Lord of the Rings kind of the two towers or something like that. Not the two towers, but maybe the cover of the Silmarillion or something else. Something from Lord of the Rings that's like fairy and also musical looking. And there you go. So here's my list of what card I have for each month and what song. And for January, I have The Maiden and Serendipity, the full version by BTS's Jimin. So I'll get more into the love letters of the month thing in a bit. But this other spread is one, was another idea I kind of had. Last year, one of my goals was to focus more on the herbs and oils that I have access to and to have a deeper connection with them and to improve my memory, I guess, of how they can be used medically and magically, therapeutically, and to create materia medica and herbal grimoire pages. And if you've watched some of my videos this year, you've seen I've started that, but it's kind of been like stop and start. So I in one of my favorites videos, I talked about warts and cunning, and what she has on her page is this thing she created called the Plant Ally Project. And learningherbs.com sends out emails with the essential oil allies. And I wanted to kind of combine the two. So every month I've given myself an herb and an oil to study following the Plant Ally Project's 30-day system. So these things will all be linked in the description down below. I know it's a lot, but this is important to me. And this next page, the colors of the month, that takes us back to for me anyway, the love letters to myself. So in addition to the fairy cards and a song of the month, I also have colors based using the Color Mate Oracle. So these are, I like painted in the colors for each card. Now the cards have names on them, like this like kind of foresty green is called Dragon, and then there's it says Power and Legacy as keywords for Dragon, and that's nice, but I also want to get an idea of my association with each color, because color is another thing that I am I've always strongly connected with and resonated with, and kind of diving deep into how each color makes me feel and what I associate with each color, and like making that idea more concrete is important to me this year. And again, having that attached to my love letters to myself, like these are, it's kind of like creating a theme of love each month, of self-love, of self-care for each month, with the, sorry about that, the color, the fairy, and the song of the month. It's just all kind of magical, artistic-y, whatever. What I'll do with this information, if nothing else, I'll be journaling about it. I've written all the letters already in this book here. Live, Love, Sparkle. I got this from the dollar store, Family Dollar. And my letters are folded up here. I put them in here because I bought this when I saw that this book was falling apart, and I was thinking, oh, I'll just take the pages I already started and paste them in here. But then I'm like, no, I came on the idea of using washi tape to keep the pages in, and so I found something else to do with that book. But yeah, so that's the colors of the month spread. Like I said, I used the cheap Michaels watercolor paint to just create little swatches, and then I have washi tape there. Now, this page is from, it's kind of a culmination of the Your Best Year workbook by Lisa Jacobs that I showed you me working through in the 5 pillars of life, and I forget where she got that idea from. Relational, mental, physical, spiritual, and financial. I once again created my annual goals, and they're called in the workbook annual objections, and I just put dragon and drew a little dragon down here because that's my word of the year. Annual strategy, I showed you my annual log. Next, spreads, my recurring tasks. So my morning routine and evening routine, this is a spread I had in my previous collections insert. I'm still deciding if I want to bring over the recurring tasks to schedule. I don't think I need to. Next, books to read. One of my annual objectives is to read 58 books this year, and there are stuff that I really, really, really want to read. I broke this down into 2 categories: series, because there's a bunch of series that I want to update myself on, and others that I never started. And instead of like writing every book from every series, I just put the series or the author name, and there we go. And then standalone books, though some may be part of a series, I don't know if I like them yet, so those are here. Included in this list are a lot of self-improvement books, and also pagan books. I definitely have had a lot of pagan books on my TBR list for years. Some are older, things like Drawing Down the Moon by Margot Adler, but others are relatively newer, like Bringing Race to the Table by Crystal Blanton, that came out 2 years ago. And some are like pagan adjacent, like Kitchen Table Tarot. I realize I haven't read a tarot book in years, since I first started learning, and I heard good things about that, so I threw that in there. And then the books to read is continued here, but this is also to help me with my Beat the Backlist challenge, which is to read things on my TBR. and not before adding new ones. So that's that. My build tracker, that worked out really well in the last 2 years. So it's just here. Very simple. I left room to add more builds. I don't have very many right now. But yeah, check mark for paid, X for late, and a dash for not paid, though usually I just leave it blank for not paid. Show tracker, again, I don't know how much I'm gonna use this. In the last 2 years there were a bunch of shows that I really wanted to watch and I just kept forgetting and then never getting around to it, so I created that and wound up with 2 pages as you know new seasons came out. But I don't know exactly what I want to see this year other than 2 shows, so something else might wind up on this page as well. Next, okay, so I realized late that I should probably write down the prompts for the plant highlight project, not just what plants I'm going to work with. So this is a very basic overview of the 30-day challenge by Warts and Cunning. So things like choose the plant you'll be working with. I've already done that. Smell and taste your plant ally. Learn its habitat. Draw a picture of your plant ally. Learn your plant ally's emotional qualities. There's take a break. Make a tincture or a glycerite. Meditate with your plant. Read a new materia medica. Write your own materia medica for your plant ally. Create a plant ally charm. Immersive experience, bathe, smoke, spray, or ritual with your plant ally. And review your month. Those are just a few things. Now, what goes here is my getting things done. So in this has, I'm so glad I printed these pages out. I printed this out. This is a brief overview of the Getting Things Done method by David Allen, and these pages were created or designed by Kara Benz of Boho Berry. And instead of like reprinting them or God forbid rewriting them every time I get a new insert, I just take them out and transfer them over. So that's what I'm going to do. I have this one. Excuse me. And I just plop it right here. I'm going to need some more tape. And this year, instead of clear tape, why make my life that easy, right? I'm going to use some washi tape. I'm just checking my spacing here. But yeah, I could glue this down, but I really, really like the idea that I could just like pull it up the next time I need to move it, and all will be well with my world. This is the washi tape I'm using. I'm going to move this up. I don't know why I moved it down. So yeah, it's this striped. It has green and purple. I don't know why I want that, but yeah. Okay, so the reason I have this and then the next one in my bullet journal is because after I create my annual objectives with the Your Best Year workbook, that's just goals. Those are big, lofty, mostly year-long goals. A couple are like 3 or 4 months, depending, but those are big things, and they take time, and there's a lot of steps. Basically, they're what David Allen from GTD calls projects. And projects have a lot of tasks. Like, they're not like do one thing and you're done. So what I do is create my objectives, and then I start to plan how I'm going to get that stuff done. And I have found personally that using the GTD method with the GTD workflow, which is what I'm taping in here now, is best. I create like a list of off the top of my head stuff I want to do in certain categories of my life. So my main categories, I usually try to keep it to 3. Occasionally I do 4. But my main categories are my 2 businesses, Scarlet Moon Creations and Excelsior Events, and then personal. Now, personal can be broken up into other categories. Usually I just keep it as one thing, but that includes, stuff, projects for my home, spiritual things I want to accomplish or work on, and like my physical body and that kind of thing. So I don't know why it takes so much concentration to peel tape off of washi tape roll, but it does. Okay, so that's taped in there now. I started writing some stuff down. So this is the getting things done method. You collect what has your attention, right? Clarify it, process what it means, organize it, put it where it belongs, reflect, review frequently, and then engage. Simply do. And that's what I do. Review frequently, reflecting, that's part of my yearly review you saw. And then I kind of started writing down on these list projects and stuff that I want to do this year. I still have things from last year though, so I'll add those in here. You guys don't need to see me do those. And I'm not 100% sure how long these 2 lists will be. Well, this one's gonna be super long, but not sure. I think Excelsior Events will go here. But what happens is these are the list of projects that I look at every month during my monthly review. When I'm setting up my monthly log and I'm like, what projects I'm going to work on this month. If I'm not finished with the previous month's projects, those automatically get migrated to the new monthly log. But if I have finished with stuff and I have time, I come back here and go over what's on this list. It's people call it a dump list. Some people don't like that term because it sounds nasty, but it's a brain dump, basically. Like, whatever is on my mind that I'm like, oh, this is what I need to get done to complete my goals, complete my annual objectives. They go on these lists. And I have a whole system of checking them off, whether they're done and categorizing them even more. And as the year goes by, I'll add to them if I think of a new thing that needs to happen. And yeah, this is another principle, the workflow, again, created by David Allen, designed this principle by Cara Benz and Boho Berry. So those are my project list. GTD lists. As I fill them out, I'll do an Excelsior event one later, probably here. Just some ideas pages. Here are going to be some other pages from my Your Best Year workbook. And that is this insert. I think, let me just check. I'm checking my list. Here's my key in here, and this is my content calendar insert. I forgot the word, sorry. And yeah, that is it. That's my setup for this year. The last thing I really want to talk about is the only other thing two things I do for my annual review and setup is, like I've mentioned a couple of times already, my year ahead reading, my elemental year ahead reading. That goes in here, my current tarot readings journal, and it basically, it's just like a kind of written Excel sheet basically. And the depth year, another idea I got from Jessica Starr, the Story Witch. And so let's talk about that. Is the spread. I can show you last year's, my spiritual journal. I had accidentally put it in here instead of in my in here. You know, I have an index for a reason, but I keep forgetting to actually use it. 48 and 49. There we go. So this was last year's, and this is what I show you guys whenever I do an elemental month ahead reading video. So, as you can see, I have it, once again, like everything else, color-coded. Like, I know these color codes. They're intuitive to me, so I don't normally have to look them up, except when I want to show someone. But yeah, so, again, because the yellow is too hard to see in some lighting and on video, oops, sorry. I use orange for air, the red here for fire, blue for water, of course, and lastly green for earth. And let me just make sure I'm using the right ones. Yes. These color packs come with so many different shades of blue and green. I often forget which one I decided to use. So let's just fill that out really, really quickly. Remembered that all the pictures are on my phone, which I'm filming with, so I'll come back and give you snapshots here of the spreads. For whatever reasons, when I first started creating these, I did this spread. I kind of formatted it in a way that looks like a Christmas tree, probably because it's around that time of year that I'm doing these spreads. The winter holidays and evergreens, trees, I don't know. It's like, so I start from the bottom right and go from right to left each row until we get to the top. And I do this 4 times with each deck. So it's the top deck that we've been looking for the element of air. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. And then starting all over again, here is my Deviant Moon Tarot deck with the 12 cards I picked for each month of 2019 for the element of fire. Again, starting from the bottom right, right to left, bottom to top. Those are my cards. Then here is the cards I picked for the element of water with the Llewellyn Tarot deck. January from the bottom right to December at the top. And last but not least, here are the cards I picked for the element of earth using my Fairies Oracle. And again, starting with January in the bottom right, making my way up to December at the top there. So, since it'll be difficult for me to fill in the names of the cards here on the spread, since I can't look at the pictures I took, I've already put all the cards away. Yeah, this is what you'll get. You can follow me on Instagram, link in the description to see like the finished spread here in my notebook. And yeah, that's my 2019 elemental year ahead reading. The last thing I do is pick out the 4 cards for my energy reading of the year, and this is them. 1 for each element, again using the same decks. If you can get a more in-depth look at that reading if you go to IGTV and to Scarlet Bloom Creations, IGTV, Instagram, and you'll see a short video of me explaining that for the 2019 31 Days of Tarot by Ethany. If you've been wondering where my videos for that have been, I decided to do them on IGTV instead of YouTube. It's just easier for me to upload because my internet sucks with uploading to YouTube, but since these are mostly less than 10 minutes, it's easier to upload onto IGTV. So if you really want to see those, you can go over to Instagram and watch them. Again, link in the description. And okay, so my depth year. I don't know, or I haven't created a page or a spread for this yet. But so the idea of the depth year, I heard of it from Jessica Starr, the Story Witch. Again, I'll link her in the description down below, and that's her original video. There's an article as well linked. And basically what the depth year is, like, okay, you realize that you've kind of been skimming over important things in your life and you need to focus on them. For example, money wise, maybe you've been buying a lot of things but not really using them. So if your depth year kind of goal might be to not buy things in that category, let's say art supplies, don't buy any new art supplies and just work with the ones that you have, use them and the techniques that you've heard about with those art supplies. That is a little mini goal part of my depth year. And I think personally it's something that I've been doing for the past few years. I think instead of setting New Year's resolutions, I set my annual objectives, which you've seen, which are goals for the year that I would like to accomplish that I think will probably take up a chunk of the year. And like in my head, I'm like, that is my hyper focus. That is what I'm going to go in depth about through this year. So that's just always how I've thought about it. And hearing about this idea of the depth year from Jessica, who I greatly admire and appreciate, I was like, sure, I'll join in. So you guys know there is a Facebook group for the group of people that are doing this. There are very many bullet journalists, journalers in general, and witches as well. If you are any of those and you follow me, please feel free to join us. It's a free, open Facebook group, so accountability and just community support is always helpful when trying to accomplish one's goals. So my depth year consists of, 1, to finish any courses, classes, workbooks, ebooks, things that I have either purchased or gotten for free online to teach me something or other, and I want to use them. Off the top of my head, I still have a Materia Medica e-course from the Herbal Academy that I have not finished, and I would like to do that because I'm in the midst of creating a Materia Medica. So I know I have tons of others from like Skillshare and whatnot, and yeah, no getting new ones even if they're free. It's not necessary. I know what I need to do, and that leads directly into my next part of my depth year, which is to use the systems I have already created or I already know work for for my life, for having routines and rituals. So my bullet journal, the Your Best Year workbook from 2018 from Lisa Jacobs at Market Your Creativity, and like my new moon rituals, my letters to self practice, which I mentioned earlier, and a couple of other things. Next also is to consolidate my spiritual and magical beliefs and knowledge into my grimoire or Book of Shadows. I started that last year and it's been kind of wishy-washy, but definitely more work went into it in 2018 than the rest of my life. So I want to keep doing that, keep creating grimoire pages. I'll be sharing some with you guys if you're subscribed to my newsletter, and just instead of constantly picking through tons of books and trying to remember how I feel about a certain color, just like go with that. That's where part of the color of the month and that kind of thing ties in. Create new relationships and strengthening old ones that are good for me. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail because this is like really personal, but I'll say this. I am single. I've been single for a long time. And even before that, I don't have a lot of significant other relationship experience, and I do want that. It's been something that's been harping on my mind a lot in the latter half of 2018, and so I'm like jumping into the deep end of the pool. You saw a little bit of that in my annual objectives. Also, just my family, as my younger brothers get older, my parents get older, we're spreading apart more, and we're not used to that. Having to work at communicating with each other instead of seeing each other almost every single day. So I want to keep those ties strong. Same with friends. People get married, moving, having kids, and it's just, you have to work harder as an adult to keep your relationship ties. It's something I'm learning, and it's something I need to be active about, that I want. Treat my physical body and space as sacred. I might reword that, but the physical, meaning me and my physical space, like this room. You don't want to know what the other side of this camera looks like, guys. And maybe getting more physical space as far as my own place. But I have, again, personal, I have fibroids, and I've had them for a while, and no pregnancy in sight, so the quote-unquote easy way of getting rid of them is not an option. So I'll have to do some other stuff, but this is the first time I've ever had any kind of illness or issue physically with my body, and anything beyond really checkups with medical professionals. So it's a whole strange new world for me, and determined to like deal with it this year. And lastly, I want to practice my beliefs and believe in my practice. I've fallen off outside of coven work and stuff. Part of that is the grimoire page making, but just speaking regularly with my spirit guides, doing rituals, doing devotional work, and that kind of thing. And that was not last. The last is being fiscally responsible. I need to get my finances in order. They are in shambles. The government is probably going to come after me soon. That's a joke, but we're like this close. I don't want to be that close. So I need to make room, do things, and make money. And that is my depth year. You can see how that tied into my annual objectives and my getting things done list. If you care to look that closely, it all begins to make sense. Thank you guys so much for watching my annual review, and I will see you guys for my next video. Bye. Oh, and Happy New Year.